with your new friend Ty.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast. It's a podcast where you find new friends and new music. This week, I am joined by a Texas native who grew up around country music as well as mariachi. You might have heard his cover of a Bruce Springsteen song, or maybe you know him from his upcoming appearance at Headwaters Country Jam this weekend in Montana. Either way, let's welcome to the show, Mr. William Beckmann. How the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am doing great. We were just talking about this. My last day of work for the week, and then we get to go have fun at a festival. I mean, you can't beat
right
that.
On. That sounds great, man. We're looking forward to being up there too. I'm in Texas right now, and the heat is just insane. So I'm trying to get out of here and go up north a little bit.
Oh, so you're the reason that temperatures are going to be, mid to upper 90s this weekend.
Is that what? So I'm not even going to get much of a break.
You're not.
I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. Okay.
You're bringing it with you.
Okay, I guess so, man. I'm sorry.
It happens. And we'll get to know Will next here on the Tea Party Podcast.
It's time to tee off with Ty. Here comes the first four.
Here we go, Will. Question number one of what we call the first four. And these make you think a little bit. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in a room, and why?
Whoa, that's a good. Okay, the funniest or the smartest person? Probably the funniest, man.
There you go. That's the right answer. There's not a right answer, but
if you're a good time, you're a good hang. Everybody wants to hang out with you.
You've got to figure it out. Perfect answer.
I know. Put it this way: I know a lot of smart people, and I know a lot of funny people. And if I could drink beer with either one of them, it'd probably be the people that make me laugh.
I'm 100% here for that. Plus, I mean, the beer kind of counteracts the smartness and helps with the funny people. I like where your head's at. Okay, question number two. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Are we talking like a specific dish, or are we talking about like Mexican food, Italian food, like a type of
either one. However you want to fence yourself in here.
Probably beef enchiladas.
Oh, that's
what I grew up on. That's what I grew up on, man.
You can't beat that, really.
No, you can't.
Okay, question number three. What character from a TV show or a movie or a book, just any fictional character, would you like to bring to life and hang out with for a day?
Probably Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Are you a Star Wars guy or just an Obi fan?
Yeah, I love Star Wars. I used to watch it when I was a kid all the time. He was my favorite one. But yeah, like if I wasn't a country singer, I'd probably be a Jedi for sure.
That's a solid backup plan for sure.
Why not?
Okay, last question of the first four. If you could have an unlimited supply of anything, alcohol, tacos, Pepsi, guitar strings, scotch tape, whatever it is, what would it be?
Guitar picks.
Oh, that's guitar a good picks. One. You have a specific style that you like?
No, we have custom ones with my name on them, but I like the medium gauge, which is not too flimsy, but it's not too stiff. But man, I throw them out in the crowd, and before, like my monitor guy, who's kind of in charge of making sure I don't run out of them. He's like, dude, you burn through guitar picks like nobody I've ever seen. So yeah, if I could have an unlimited supply of guitar picks, I'd probably do that.
You and the guitar tech both think the same way there.
No kidding, man.
Well, William, man, that was a great way to kick off the show. But now I want to dive into your story. Give us kind of the Cliff Notes version of growing up and tell us how you first got into music.
Yeah, I grew up in Del Rio, Texas, right on the border of Mexico. And I got into music when I was really young, maybe 13, 14 years old. But I always was interested in it and always wanted to learn how to play music. And my parents put me in piano lessons when I was about that age, about 12, 13, which was fun. I was learning how to read music, but I didn't do very well at that part of it. I just wanted to play, not so much read music. And then, of course, piano lessons, at least the way that it was for me, you'd have to learn a piece of music and then go home and practice it for a week and then have to come back and play it for your teacher. And And if you didn't really play it perfectly, you'd have to go back and keep learning. Like, I didn't like the regimented kind of part of the lessons. I wanted somebody to teach me how to play. Like, if my teacher would have been like, here's how you play Hey Jude by the Beatles, I would have been like, all right, show me how to do that, because that's cool, but it wasn't. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I eventually gave up on that. But that I was able to play chords and stuff. I was able to have a basic knowledge of how the piano worked, and then that turned into me playing guitar, and I taught myself how to play guitar, and that turned into me singing, and then that eventually turned into me writing songs. So it was just it stemmed from me having an interest in music, noodling around on piano, figuring out a couple chords on guitar, and then learning songs just off of YouTube. This was back when YouTube didn't have any commercials or anything. You could just look up, how do you play?
Good old days.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, it'd be anything. I'd be like, how do you play Sunday Morning by Maroon 5? Because that was a huge song back then. And, somebody would be a tutorial of somebody teaching how to play it, really dumbing it down. And that's how I learned how to play songs when I was first starting to play.
Was your family musical at all, or were you kind of the outlier here?
I was definitely the black sheep of my family. Nobody else played music except me, which is kind of why there was a level of independence that I had when I was starting, because I didn't have anybody to teach me anything. I didn't have it's not like I was like the Jackson 5 and the whole family played, we could all play together, which had its pros and cons. I mean, I toughed it out. And like I said, I looked things up on YouTube, or if nothing was out there on a particular song, I would just listen to the song over and over again until I could figure it out on my own. And that taught me a lot about music, just having to roll up your sleeves and figure something out and learn how to play obviously every guitar player learns how to play Stairway to Heaven when they're first starting out, but just doing that, and learning how to play learning how to read tabs and how to play something, I think was really important for me to learn on my own. And had I had a family that did it all for me, there's a chance I might not have ever taken the time to learn how to play the instruments as heavily as I did.
So you play piano and guitars, or anything else in your repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, I play the piano, the drums, I play the bass, I play the guitar, the harmonica. Nothing too crazy, kind of your basic instruments. I would love to learn how to play fiddle at some point in my life. That takes years and years to get good at. And one of my best friends up in Nashville is a great saxophone player. Anytime I see him play sax, I'm like, man, that'd be a really cool thing to learn how to do. But again, one of those instruments that you can't it's not like playing the bass. If you play guitar, you can pretty much play bass. It's not like something you can just kind of fake it. You really have to take lessons and figure out how to do it. But it's never too late to learn.
That's true. I mean, saxophone's always one of those instruments that I've loved listening to and wanted to learn how to play. And then back in elementary school, when they start you in band, they're like, okay, start with the clarinet. And that just wasn't my jam. So maybe it's a late in life type thing.
Yeah.
So, growing up, you kind of built your own base for music. Were you one of those guys that had like a band in high school?
Yeah, we did. It wasn't really my band. I wasn't the one that founded the band, but one of my dear friends who actually had a hand in teaching me certain chords on guitar when we were in middle school, maybe I'd say, it was his band. And when I was in the 8th or 9th grade, they had a guitar player that had decided to leave the band, and they called me and asked if I wanted to join the band. And I was stoked, because I was never in a band, and I just played a lot of songs in my bedroom by myself, and for my dad and his friends, if they ever had like a family cookout or something, I'd pull out my guitar and play a couple songs. But the idea of playing in a band and playing actual gigs and stuff was something that at that time I didn't do, and I really wanted to. So when I got the invitation to join the band, I was head over heels. And so that started when I was the summer in between my 8th grade and my freshman year of high school. And I was in that band for the entirety of my high school education. We'd go to school during the week, and every Friday and Saturday we'd play somewhere,
What kind of music were you guys playing?
We played, we were a cover band, so we played all covers, but all kinds of stuff, man. We did a lot of country stuff, but a lot of classic rock stuff too, like CCR and Tom Petty and, gosh, what else did we do? Like, I remember we used to do some Santana stuff, some really cool, like guitar heavy, ZZ Top. I remember we played a couple ZZ Top songs, but anything. So unlike me, my parents weren't musically inclined, but a couple of the other band guys did have dads that were into music and stuff that they liked, stuff that they were the ones at the end of the day that were helping us load all our gear in and gear out, so we always tried to play songs that we knew that they'd like, and a lot of that happened to be some classic rock, ZZ Top stuff, and anything from the 70s, and yeah, I still play a lot of the, anytime I do play cover songs, a lot of the songs that I play are songs that I learned way back then.
Just sticking with you through the whole musical journey then.
Yeah, you never forget how to play Tequila Sunrise by the Eagles, It's Hotel California we did that song too. But yeah, man, it was fun. I mean, just to be able to go out there and get your feet wet a little bit at such an early age, man, it was really cool for me. And my again, I was the rhythm guitar player and backup vocalist. I sang lead vocals on a couple of the songs, but for the majority of it, I was kind of a side guy, which was great too, because all the pressure wasn't necessarily on me. My friend, it was his band and he was the lead singer, but stage presence and all that sort of stuff that goes along with entertaining and being on stage, I learned by being in that band.
But and you mentioned that you grew up kind of near the U.S.-Mexico border, and as somebody who's never lived that close to the border, you always see that there's a lot of cultural crossover, between the two sides. Did that influence your musical style at all growing up?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just naturally being that close to the border, listening to the radio, you heard songs in Spanish just as much as you did, if not more, than you did in English. And of course, a lot of the fans that we were playing for, a lot of the people in the crowd loved songs in Spanish. So we tried learning anything that we thought would be a good song to play for the people that liked songs in Spanish. So it was, and that's honestly where it stems from for me, because I still to this day, even though I've got my own career and my own band that I play with now, we still try to throw in a couple cool covers in Spanish. And if we're ever playing in South Texas, I mean, we'll throw a couple in there, and that's just, you're winning a couple extra points. So, you're winning them over just by doing that. So, yeah, I mean, growing up in Del Rio did have a huge impact on not only the way we played and the style that we played, but what we were playing.
And then you took that and you ended up moving to Nashville. Was that like back in 2018, right?
Yeah. When I moved out of Del Rio, I moved to Austin, Texas for a couple of years, and I went to school. And then I eventually moved to Nashville after that, and I transferred schools, and I went and finished at Belmont University, and I got a degree there. But when I moved to Nashville, it was, I want to say 2014, 2015.
And had it been something that had kind of been on your roadmap to move there, or did it kind of come about from your time in Austin?
I think so. I'd visited Nashville once with my grandfather. It was for my birthday. He took me on a trip, just him and I, which was great to get to hang out with him and bond with him for 3 days. And he took me there, and I fell in love with it. And having an interest in country music, I knew that was kind of the place to be. And I knew that Belmont specifically was a really good university to go to because it has a very great music business program. And I wanted to learn more about the business. And I think my parents wanted me to do that too, because when I was in college was around the time that my parents were like, okay, like, are you gonna, what's your plan here? Are you gonna like do the music thing, or do you want to be involved somehow in the business part of it, or is it just a hobby? And I was like, no, like I want to do this for real. Like I want to be, a country singer. And that was probably really, really a hard pill for them to swallow because, it's a tough business, as everybody knows, and your parents are always worried about you. But as soon as they could tell that I was dead set on doing it, then they wanted me to get an education that would help me in my career. And so that was the reason we were looking at Belmont, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to move to Nashville, but to have school to keep me busy. So I was there in school for a couple years. Wasn't like I just packed up my stuff and moved to Nashville, not knowing anybody, like, okay, I'm going to give this thing a shot. I moved there and I was still a student, and it was a great way for me to be living there and to start meeting new people and stuff. So that's kind of why I initially moved there.
And after you moved there, as you're in school, did that give you a chance to kind of gain a foothold as an artist in the area, or did that kind of come later?
That came later. I don't think that my initial years in Nashville really, I don't think I made a lot of headway as an artist. I think I started making a little bit more of a name for myself when I moved back to Texas. And when I say moved back to Texas, I never let go of my apartment in Nashville. I still had a place up there, and I still do to this day. I like keeping a place there so that I can fly in, and I've got my own thing, my own bed, and all my guitars that I leave there. But yeah, it's tough. Obviously Nashville is a really tough town to make a big splash in. And the first couple of years that I was there, like I said, I was a student, and then there was a period of time in between when I graduated college, and I kind of decided to temporarily relocate back to Texas and play a bunch of shows. There was about a period of about a year where I had a couple weird jobs, and I was just writing as much as I could, and I was trying to play a bunch of songwriters rounds and try to make a name for myself, but still not really knowing what I was doing. And when I moved back to Texas, I started playing a bunch of shows, and I ended up playing this one time, and Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen were in the audience, and Randy took a liking towards me and helped me open up a lot of doors for me, and he got me connected with his booking agent, who's now my booking agent and has been my only booking agent. And they started putting me on support slots. And so I was going from playing cafes and, little honky tonk bars to being on stage in front of 3,000 people with nothing but a guitar, opening up for them and Parker McCollum and all the Texas country guys. And that's really where I started to see the needle move a little bit more.
And then you put out a record in 2018 called Outskirts of Town. Where was this kind of your jumping off point as a solo artist, or was there kind of a backstory behind that?
Kind of. I mean, there wasn't much of a backstory there. At the time, I really didn't know what I was doing, and not that I really know what I'm doing now, but I didn't have anything. I just knew that I wanted to give it a shot and be I was trying to write songs. I was trying to write the best songs that I could. And the only guy at the time that I really had that was in the music business that I really knew was Radney Foster. This was still before I met Randy, and I took that record and I like I said, moved to Texas and tried to play whatever bar would let me play for a couple hours. Whatever they paid me, I was there for it, because it beat whatever I was doing in Nashville. Like whatever I had a bartending job that I just hated for a long time. And I just wanted to get up and be proactive and do something with my music. And it wasn't till I really got the opportunities to open up for people, and I really got to pick Randy Rogers' brain, and he gave me such great advice, and still does. He's like a big brother to me. That I really started to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to sound like. And all the while I was writing songs, and that was what ended up being my second project. So I think there's a lot of growth between the two records. But yeah, I just, stemming back from what I explained earlier, and not really coming from a musical family, and then even having gone to Belmont, I met so many incredible artists there, but a lot of them were surprisingly like artists in different genres, you know. I've explained this before to people, but like the friends that I met at Belmont were into different kinds of music, and they were producing, and like I had friends that did like R&B music, and I had friends that did more like indie rock stuff and even hip hop stuff, and I I played country music, and so I really didn't know. I didn't collaborate a lot with a lot of people when I was first in Nashville, which is kind of ironic because Nashville is known to be a co-writing town, and you know that's how you go and network and meet people. I was much more of a kind of an independent, kind of like I would lock myself up in my room for days and try to write songs by myself. But yeah, I mean, it's evolved into what it is now, and it's pretty cool to look back and to see the growth in it all.
Well, you hit on a pretty important point there that I don't think a lot of people, I guess, realize or understand unless they've kind of been in that scene in Nashville, and that's that it's not just a country music town. I mean, yes, country music kind of runs the town, but yeah. I mean, even Ed Sheeran's recorded an album in Nashville.
Yeah, everybody writes. I mean, Harry Styles writes with some of the best songwriters in Nashville, and yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff, especially on the east side of town. I mean, East Nashville's got all kinds of great bands, and it was just very eye-opening. Looking back on it, it was very overwhelming. It was almost like sensory overload. There was so much going on, and there still is. There always has been. But it is a mecca for music, and country music is what it's known for. But some of the best recording studios are in Nashville. Some of the best songwriters, singers, guitar players, like everything. There's so much opportunity in that town, aside from country music, that I was exposed to, and it's a great town to plant seeds and to make connections in because of that.
Your whole journey, I mean, at least up until now, kind of seems like it's culminated in Faded Memories, which was the album that you put out last year. You wrote almost every song, or had a part in writing almost every song on the album, outside of I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen and one other song. But I'm on Fire seemed to kind of take on a life of its own. Was that something that you had expected when you first put it out?
Not at all. I didn't even expect to record it, to be honest with you. A majority of that record was recorded at the height of COVID, and so recording was incredibly difficult because we weren't able to get a bunch of studios a bunch of musicians in the same studio. But there was 2 songs off of that record that I remember recording, and we actually there's a studio in Springfield, Missouri that we recorded at, my producer and I, and it was just him and I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I had a song called 30 Miles that I wanted to try to record, and then and that was it, really. I just wanted to record that song, and then and it was just him and I, and he's a great musician too and plays, and I think we recorded that song. But everything you hear on that song is just him and I overdubbing a bunch of guitars and stuff, so it kind of sounds like there's a full band, but there's really not. He played the drums and I played the bass, and then we both played a couple different guitars to where it sounded like there were different guitars, and then of course I sang and did the harmonies and stuff, and I played a little bit of keys on that song. And then I'm on Fire was the same way, and we just kind of started playing that song because I'd learned how to play it, and again, like we just kind of layered everything, and at the end of the song there's a dueling guitar solo, and that's literally him and I just playing the track, and he would play something and then I'd play something and then he'd play something, and we just kind of made it to where it sounded like a cool just do a guitar duel. But it came out really Western. To me, the opening of that song sounds like it reminds me of the Wild West or something. And we slowed it down a lot. You know, the original Bruce Springsteen track is really fast, and this one I wanted it to be really slow and almost kind of eerie in a way. But yeah, it was an accident. The way we recorded it, I never even walked in there that day thinking we were going to record a version of Bruce Springsteen's "I'm on Fire." But when I heard it back, I thought it was so cool, and it was different than anybody else that had ever covered that song, that I decided to just throw it on that record.
Well, and it came out fantastic. That's actually the first song that my producer sent me of yours. He's like, check this guy out. So it's definitely making its mark, but the rest of the album has done pretty well as well. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about the songwriting. I know we've been lumping it in here, but you say that at one point you had locked yourself away for days and were just kind of like writing. Is that typically your process, is to set aside time and just go, okay, I'm going to write now? Or does it kind of happen as it happens?
Back then it was. I think back then it was. I had this big, almost kind of like fascination with people like Bob Dylan and people that were incredibly prolific. And you see pictures of Bob Dylan like sitting at a typewriter, and he had all kinds of like songs around him and just stacks of paper and stuff. And like the idea of just like being a true songwriter was something that I really wanted to kind of be. So I'm not kidding. I went out of my way and I bought this old typewriter, and I would write songs on a typewriter just because I was kind of obsessed with the idea of being like a Bob Dylan. And the older I got, I kind of realized that when you write that many songs, there's a certain level of quality control that you kind of lose. You might write 10 songs and only one of them is really worth giving any attention to. And that just became, it was fun, and it taught me a lot about writing, but it kind of became exhausting to keep up to I wrote for I'd say about maybe 2 or 3 years, I wrote a song a day, or at least every 2 days. And so I've got a bunch of incredibly crappy songs that nobody's ever heard, that nobody ever will hear. And I started to focus a little bit more on like really like not giving an idea or anything attention unless I was really sold on it, or I really thought it was worth chasing. And so I might write less than I did back then, but I write better, if that makes any sense.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, and the co-writing process has been one that has helped me out with that a lot, because you have to, if you're writing with somebody else, you're not going to bring a dumb idea or something that you're not really confident or sold in. You're gonna bring the best idea that you got on your notes, on your phone or whatever. And so now I think I spend just as much time thinking about writing songs and stuff, but I really make sure that it's something worth chasing. And if it's not, then I'd rather move on. But yeah, that's kind of the basic.
Do you typically start with an idea, or do you have, a melody come to you, or is there a lyric that you start with, or does it kind of depend?
It depends. Usually now I like to have an idea already in place before I start. And again, back when I was, I don't want to say frivolously writing, because I don't think I was doing that. Like I did care about it, and I was putting a lot of thought into it. But back then I would just almost regurgitate anything that would come to mind. I would do these like writing exercises where just like free write. So basically you just get a notebook and you just write any just stream of thought that comes to your head. It doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to really be anything. It was just a way to just get words out. And then when you would read it, it's a really cool exercise, because when you really kind of master that exercise and that craft, you're so caught up in the moment that you're not even really aware of what you're writing. And it's not till you go back and read it that you actually end up finding really cool things. And so whether it's a line or a title or even just two words right next to each other, then you can kind of take that and stem. And so that's how I wrote before. Like I would write just to write. And now I really try to search for something that sounds really cool or like a cool idea. And then take that and then try to see if that's something worth chasing and try to write a song from that. Both are, everybody's different and everybody evolves too. I think it's a good thing to be able to be like, well, back then I used to do it like this and now I do it like that. And not to say that you can't go back and start doing the same things that you used to do and see what happens from there. But that's all what songwriting is. I mean, it's a constant, it's almost cathartic. It's nice to express yourself creatively by getting some of these ideas out, whether it's good or bad. I mean, I think it's just a fun thing to do.
Well, we have an example of one of the songs that you've written for everybody to take a listen to here, and kind of showcase your style and your sound. We have Tennessee Drinkin'. Give us the story behind writing this song with Jeremy Spillman and Randy Montana, because that sounds like a heck of a group.
Yeah, no, I was, those two guys are, one of the, two of the best songwriters in my opinion in town. And we came in that day and we were writing it at Spillman's house, and I can't really remember who brought the idea. I don't think I brought the idea, but me coming from Texas, a lot of these writers want to write Texas songs, and we had I think I just played in Corpus Christi, and so that was very fresh in our minds. And we wrote this song kind of talking about a girl from down there and us being up in Nashville, and just your classic kind of the one that got away and wishing that you could turn back time and wishing that you could be in two places at the same time. And so we sort of made this story up, and it kind of just wrote itself. It's one of the songs that off this record that I'm really proud of. And I'm glad I had two of the best guys to work with help me out with it.
Well, here, let's let everybody take a listen to it. This one is called Tennessee Drinkin' by William Beckmann.
Tennessee drinking, South Texas dreaming. I wish I could be in two places tonight. She's where my heart is, I'm where this bar is. The hardest part is I can't drink enough to get her off my mind. Ooh, I didn't mean to love her, but that Corpus Christi summer stays on your skin. And ooh, forever for a weekend, now I'm running out of reasons to stay in Tennessee drinking, South Texas dreaming. We were hotel sleeping, just one more time. I remember the sound of the sea, margaritas on the balcony, her kissing the hell out of me in the sheets on those 3 long star nights. But that Corpus Christi summer stays on your skin. And ooh, forever for a weekend, now I'm running out of reasons to stay in Tennessee drinking. I'm in Tennessee drinking. Corpus Christi summer stays on your skin. Texas dreaming. I wish I could be in two places tonight.
And that was Tennessee Drinkin' by today's guest, William Beckmann. And Will, you put this song out in May as part of like a 3-song release. And then you put out She Can't Be Found on July 7th. Sounds like you may have a bigger project that these are all part of coming up. Am I reading that right?
Yeah. So on August 4th, we got the whole record that comes out. It's called Here's to You, Here's to Me. And all of those songs are going to be a part of it. And it's a 7-song project. And yeah, there's 2 of the songs that I wrote by myself, and the rest of them are all co-writes, except for one that I recorded and cut. A dear friend of mine who we lost earlier this year. His name's Keith Gaddis, and that song is It's Still January, one of the prettiest songs that was ever brought to me, and I'm glad I got a chance to record it and put it out, man. It's a really special song.
I'm excited for everything that you have going on, and just the whole project so far, from what we've heard, feels like a very personal project. It feels like the songs really come from somewhere kind of deep inside. Is that the case for everything that we're going to hear off of it?
I think so. I'm always trying to dig deep in my soul and find something that's worth saying. And I would say that this body of work is the best stuff I've put out. I feel the super proud about it, and hopefully the people feel the same way. But yeah, I'm glad that they're all starting to finally come out, and that people are singing the songs back to me when we're playing live. And the goal is to just keep going and start working on a new record after this one's out.
How can they keep up with what you've got going on? What are your social medias and your website?
Yeah, William, they can find me everywhere: Facebook, Instagram. I've got a website too that's got all our tour dates on there. But yeah, if you go to williambeckmann.com, that's the website, and you can go to find me on Instagram, TikTok too. I've got it all.
Well, and this episode is going to come out on Thursday, the first day of Headwaters Country Jam, where you'll be at Saturday morning. For those of us who haven't had the chance to see you in person yet, what can we expect when William Beckmann takes the stage?
A whole lot of drinking songs, and so we're going to play some songs in Spanish, and we're just going to have a good time. Hopefully, if you like traditional country music, we'll throw in a couple of those as well. But it's a big blend of a lot of cool things that I like, and hopefully the audience likes it too.
Have you been to Montana before?
Never in my life, never. But I'm really looking forward to being there.
Those drinking songs are gonna hit just nice for them.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
So, and we'll be out there. We're bringing the whole Tea Party crew. Headwaters is the first stop on our Tea Party Summer Festival tour. So if you're listening to this, you find us at Headwaters, we've got a discount code for Farm Jam Festival later in the summer. But William, for these outdoor shows or festival shows, do you prepare differently than a show, at like an indoor concert hall?
A little bit, yes. I mean, if we love playing festivals and we love playing outdoor venues, and there's instances where I play in concert halls and theaters where it's much more of an attentive. Everybody's really quiet, but yeah, my band and I they're really good at being able to tend to each different kind of show. But yeah, I love telling stories and stuff. If I'm ever in a concert hall, I can kind of get a little bit more intimate and laid back and tell some stories. But usually for something like this, man, we crank it up and get loud and enjoy it.
Well, Will, man, we are excited to see you out there. Thank you so much for jumping on this show with us. But before we let you out of here, we end the show kind of the same way we start it, with what we call the Final Four. You up for it?
Okay, I'm up for it.
It's time for the Final Four.
Question number 1. What's your favorite guitar brand?
Gibson.
I like it. I love this question because everybody always answers super quick. It's not anything that anybody thinks about. Is Gibson always kind of been your go-to, or did you move to that
yes.
later?
No, I it's always, I play. It's funny because I answered that, but I play a Martin acoustic guitar on stage now. I was playing a J45, but I have so many different Gibson acoustics, and I only have one Martin. That's the one I enjoy playing right now. But Gibson's always been kind of the ones that I like playing the most.
Is Gibson what you typically have if you're writing, or you write more with the Gibson? Oh,
yes. Typically I play with a Gibson.
Okay. And this one you can cheat and look at your Apple or Spotify if you need to, but who are the 3 most recently played artists that you listen to?
Oh, there's a guy that I've only met once. I'd like to connect with him, but I was playing his music yesterday. His name's Tyler Halverson. And his stuff is great. I'm a huge fan of his. I think I was listening to, what else was I listening to the other? My buddy Randall King. I was playing his music yesterday too. And then, Lainey Wilson. I've been digging all her music. So it's a little all over the place, but yeah.
Those are some good ones. And now I have to go look up Tyler Halverson.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What he's got going on.
Yeah, he's crushing it right now, and big fan. I think we were talking about trying to get him and I on some shows together. So hopefully we can make that happen.
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to go listen then. Okay, question number 3, Will. And this one might catch you just a little bit of heat because you grew up near the border. But if you had to pick one, are you picking barbecue or tacos?
Probably tacos, man. Tacos for sure.
I kind of guessed that based on the enchiladas question.
Yeah,
but
that's just how I was raised, man. Mexican food is like, that's why I'm so picky about it too. Because even when I'm in Nashville, people want to go to Mexican restaurants. I'm like, man, I love Nashville, but I do not care to go have any Mexican food that far away from Mexico, man. Texas is always pretty solid. Anywhere up and down the border is always really good.
Okay, last question for the whole show, and you can take as much or as little time to answer this as you want. But if you could pick one thing for people to take away from your appearance on the show or your music in general, what would it be? What do you want to leave the people with?
I want them to walk away hopefully relating to some of the songs. I write a lot of songs. Some of them are love songs, some of them are breakup songs, but I hope they think about it, and I hope they see themselves in the songs when they hear them, because that's my job as a songwriter, and that's the ultimate goal is to connect with people and to almost for somebody to feel like you wrote their own life story for them, and I try really hard to accomplish that. So if I've got one goal, it'd be to do that, and hopefully they like my voice and the way I sing. I focus a lot on that as well, just because I'd have a little bit different of a singing voice than people might expect. People tell me that a lot. My voice doesn't really match what I look like, but hopefully it's just a good show that people enjoy the music and the songs.
Well, in full disclosure, I'm in that camp. When I first heard your music and then first saw your picture, they did not align for me.
Yeah, it's just it trips some people out. So hopefully people enjoy the way I sing. I work hard. I work hard at it.
Well, man, I'm excited to see you coming up this weekend. You have safe travels up there, and we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And guys, that was another episode of the Tea Party Podcast. It's the country music podcast where you find new friends and new music like William Beckmann, Tennessee Drinkin', and a sneak peek at his upcoming album.
Go tee off on the like button at facebook.com/Tea Party Podcast. This has been a Tea Party Communications production. Theme music created by Jesse Quandt. Announcer voiceovers by Jay Gwinn. And as always, hosted by Pisani.